There has been now for several years deep, systematic prejudice towards Muslims in India. Many examples of that. Not just at the governmental level, at the social level, and Muslim minorities have been fearing this type of persecution for a long time. Now, the government and the media have been accusing the Tabligh Jamaat or other Muslim groups of spreading the virus. Now, that is just nonsense. This virus is in pretty much every single country in the world. It's an invisible virus that is transmitted in many, many different contexts in many different ways. And it would be impossible for any type of investigation to attribute any particular social group for being the culprit of the spread of the virus. And yet the Indian media and government are using this to blame Muslims. And they're still talking about problems in Kashmir and blaming Muslims over there. And this fits into a wider political agenda that has been present in India for a long time now, to really blame Muslims. And we've seen very horrific, concrete examples of that happening on a real individual level. We heard last week that 2 newborn babies died because their mothers were refused entrance to a hospital because they were Muslim. In fact, one Muslim lady was beaten at the hospital entrance and forced to clean her own blood from the hospital floor. There are hospitals in India that have signs on the outside saying no Muslims allowed. And so this type of hysteria that has been generated by the government, by the media, is having very real human consequences, very real human suffering. It's really sickening for any power, whether it be us as individuals or us as societies, but especially for governments who are the biggest power in any country, to use a global humanitarian problem to justify persecution to suit their own political agenda. Rather than taking that perspective, rather than taking the scientific approach, you start demonizing minorities to suit a political agenda. It's not only problematic for the persecuted group, but it's problematic for the entire country. And so it will be it's an own goal for the Indian government to blame the Muslims, because what they're doing is distracting attention from the actual problem that needs to be fixed. You're diverting blame, you're creating scapegoats, and the actual problem is not being solved. And so it's an own goal for the Indian government, but of course the primary victims are going to be the ones who are stigmatized the most, and that is, in this case in India, the Muslim minority, and especially the people in Kashmir.